Hello everyone. Hello everyone. I'm testing out a little bit of a different setup, but I want to paint Mr. Mole Man because we saw him in the Fantastic Four movie. Oh, spoilers. If anyone's concerned about that, sorry. Let's see. How am I going to set this up? I'm still kind of perfecting this. Oh, I like that. My brush is over here and the palette here. It's got a little watery already, but that's good. Okay. So here's Mole Man. Now I'm going to start doing, let me get my reference pick up, because he's basically got two different shades of green on him. He's got a proper goblin green on the on his jumpsuit. So I'm going to start with a really dark green there, and I'll go. Let's see, can I get that over a little? There we go. I'll start with a really dark green there, and then we'll get a little lighter with the highlights as we go. Ooh, this dark green actually doesn't look that dark. I thought it was going to be darker. I managed to get a darker shade on here after all. But that first layer is always pretty satisfying to put on there. Yeah, I might have to do another layer or two of this very dark green because it's not really showing up that dark, is it? It's showing up very light on the model, despite being called dark green on the bottle. That's this dark green. But it still looks pretty light to me. So we'll see. We added a little too much water to it or something. We'll see how that goes. Are his boots a different color? Probably. Let's see. Yeah, he has darker boots. So we can get those a little different color when we get there. It's kind of black boots. Or dark brown. So I did see the Fantastic Four the other weekend, and I don't think it's a spoiler, but this guy shows up in it in a couple of places. He's a bit of comic relief in an otherwise cosmically concerning plotline. So that's fun. Fun to see him, who I don't really know much about. I will be honest. I am much more of an X-Men fan than a Fantastic Four fan, so I know he's primarily been a Fantastic Four villain for at least as much of his career as I read about. I always like to do a little research on these guys before or as I paint them, so I know a little bit of what I'm going for. He is very campy. High camp. So we're going to do a dark sea blue, actually, for the base coat of his cape. Pretty fun how blues and greens kind of blend together in interesting ways. this won't end up looking blue, it'll end up looking like a blue-green. But see, that's a lot darker. That's the dark. That's kind of the dark I thought I was going to get with the green on his suit, on his tracksuit. I like that he wears a tracksuit too. That's pretty fun. If I were a ruler of an underground realm, I would probably wear a tracksuit too. Might as well be comfortable as you kind of rule over your citizens, right? I think this camera angle is working. I might need to pull it a little toward me, since it's not... I think it's working. We'll see what the final one turns out to be. I'm also trying to record on my iPhone on the side there to get some different angles and to get some... I don't have a 4K quality webcam, so I was trying to get some 4K shots so I can zoom in and do kind of like real big close-ups. I don't know if that's going to work either. We'll see. We shall see. This is always the hardest, is getting in on these models. Getting inside capes. This is why the advice that I've heard when you build models is to do paint before you attach any capes. Because it's real hard to get in there and behind them once you have a cape on. It's just hard to get the brush to snap at a certain angle. I see he's got some buttons down there holding his cloak on. I wonder if those are gold or what. Oops. Sorry. Always hitting the camera. I know. I like using these big strokes when you're touching large flat surfaces, because it keeps the paint smooth, hopefully, and don't overwork it. You can always go back, but as soon as the paint starts to dry, if you ever go over it again, you get some weird textures that you really don't want. The other fun thing about these Marvel United characters is that I just wouldn't know a lot of these characters if I weren't painting them. But you kind of get to know them pretty well when you get up close and personal in all of their costume details. And, you know, why does he wear a two-tone green outfit? I don't know. I guess we'll see. Alright, let's do a little brown on his. Like a dark brown, maybe. Trying to get his skin is interesting, because in the artwork and in the game artwork, I mean, in the pro versions of these minis, his skin is actually kind of dark. You know, he has like a ruddy red look almost. And that's not what I would expect of someone who lives underground. I would expect a really pale look. But I guess he either comes up to the surface enough, or he does some tanning, something like that. So he has a little bit of color in his complexion, almost like a tan around the edges. Sometimes when there get bubbles in those places, I just like to blow them out. Alright. Do a base coat of that on his hands too. We got some kind of gnarled hands. I like that. Some real fingers that really stick out. Those separated fingers are also kind of a pain to paint because they got a lot of edges. A lot more edges than a closed fist. I bet they're probably a pain to sculpt too, which is why you see way more closed fists than open hands. What are we gonna do about his mouth? We gotta give him some black red in there, and then some white or yellow teeth maybe. Does he have yellow teeth? I'm just thinking really poorly of this guy, but no, he looks pretty well groomed. I'll do my standard. I really like the black red for just inside the mouth. It's real straightforward. Give him some Gorgon brown hair and staff. I got a lot of water in my wet palette today, so it's really, there's really a lot of liquid there. It's kind of pooling up on the other side. I think his staff is wood. Yeah, it looks like wood. His hair needs to be darker. I'll have to redo that with something. Well, he is underground, so I'll probably do some stones for his base, black for his boots. I'll just have a bunch of the base coats covered. These stalactites are going to be fun to put like a wash on. Watch those details pop out. That's why I'll go a little lighter on this and then do a layer. Darker layer of wash. Bring down the brightness a little bit more. Seems like a pretty simple model, although if you watched my last video on Apocalypse, you know how he seemed like a pretty simple model too, and I spent way too long doing fun blending practice and things I'm not very good at. Get that all white and stony looking. And then I need a, let's see, are his boots black or are they're definitely not the same color as his cape. So we'll do like a charcoal for those. Where's my... Put this guy back up here. This is almost like this feels like a spa, this track, like spa music. We're waiting to get our massages. Yeah, see, getting in there is a pain. I don't know if I really have to, but I'll go back and touch up the cape and the rocks around it. Anywhere there's a pain, you know, it's a hard angle to get to. There's usually gonna be some touch-ups you gotta do. And if you minimize those, that's good. I'm gonna go over that green again. in, because that really didn't get very dark. Maybe I'll mix some charcoal in with it. Let's see if we can get a darker green. I really do want some of this green to be real dark. Let's see if I can get, yeah, I kind of like that. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing over here, but certainly mixing some of the charcoal in really helped get it much darker, which is what I was thinking it was going to be for a base coat. And then the sort of vanilla dark green almost seems like a medium layer to me. I wanted it to be this dark to start with, so I can have those parts be shadowed, and then the highlights start to bring out the green color more. So we'll see if that ends up working the way that I think it will. But that's definitely more the color I was thinking of, rather than what actually came out of the dark green bottle. There we go. Now I use a darker green to start with. Pretty good. Everything else is kind of buried behind the cape, so that's okay. All right. I want to do one more layer on the cape. Something in between. So I've got this on the cape right now, which is a sea blue. I'm going to do a blue-green on it, but I'm going to mix it somewhere in between there first. And just do a almost everywhere layer. Get a lot of the dark blue still in. And because we're starting to layer, I'm going to have my brush a little bit wetter now. And I'm also going to kind of start looking at where I want the highlights to be. I think I kind of know, but you know, it's along the top where the light would hit. For this, it's probably, for this amount of highlight, which is not much, it's probably almost everywhere. I'll probably leave a little bit of shadows. But yeah, it's probably almost everywhere up here. I'm just going to leave the very bottom in shadow. Ooh, sorry. Man. Keep hitting that camera, sorry. need to long the folds of the cape so that we get a little bit of highlights up here, up here. And still a decent, I mean, this is still not the full highlight, so I still want to get a decent amount of coverage with this slightly lighter blue. We'll still leave the inside and, like, you know, the bottom of stuff pretty dark. Maybe the edges will hit a little bit more. Okay, that's a start. Oops, I got some on his hair. Now don't go back over that until it's all dry. And we can go back in and pick out a little bit more of the higher highlights. Last thing, I'm going to do a little bit darker on his hair. I want almost a, no, yeah, I want almost a gray highlight on there. Like a dark gray. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right there. I probably shouldn't put those back in the middle of painting. It's probably pretty loud for you. Yeah, here we go. That's the kind of dark that I was hoping for. Let's go back over that blue spot a couple times, I think. Okay. Give me some. Should do some steel glasses, steel gray. I like a good steel gray. Anybody out there have glasses like this? They look like they could have been in style in the 60s. Or whenever Stan and Jack came up with them. too much work on those because I'll probably need to go back and touch those up after I go over all of his skin. But there's his glasses. Should we do another one round of highlights on the green? Let's see what we get from just regular old dark green. Now we're back to a little more of a fun green. Oh, you can't really see that in the video. A little bit lighter green with more of a shadow to it. Once that dries up, we'll do another round of highlights. And to do his teeth and some of the details. That'll be great.